Hey guys, it's Dan, your host of your Dan's Reviews, and today I'm back for another video for the Walking Dead universe, and in today's video we're going to be doing a Q&A talking about the ones who live. We're going to talk about some Daryl Dixon stuff, Dwight and Sherry stuff, and more. Alright guys, this one's going to be doing a review today. This one's going to be doing a review for the Walking Dead universe, and in today's video we're going to be doing our first Walking Dead universe Q&A post Walking Dead media break for 2023. Grabbed a lot of comments and questions from you guys. Now that Walking Dead universe is over, we're going to go ahead and do Walking Dead universe Q&A videos all the way up until, of course, the end of February when we have Ones Who Live. Then we'll be doing Ones Who Live Q&As, obviously, when that show is airing. But it's a good way to kind of keep up with Walking Dead stuff. Also because, give or take a few weeks here, guys, there's definitely going to be probably the odd day where there's not, a Walking Dead video, just because, there has to be enough for us to actually discuss in a video, right? But I did get a lot of Walking Dead topics from you guys, so we'll probably be able to still do a lot of Walking Dead content, at least for the next month. And I'm definitely excited to do that because Walking Dead universe, obviously, it's my favorite thing to cover, and that's why I like to do these Q&A videos, during the breaks, is because it kind of keeps the discussion going, you know what I mean? And I know a lot of y'all obviously really enjoy talking about Walking Dead, as do I. It's probably my favorite thing to cover on the channel, as I'm sure you can tell by the amount of videos I do for it. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to continue on. But anyway, let's get into it. So, first one comes from Malutin, who says that, Dan, do you think we will see Elizabeth Kublik or maybe even Silas in the Walking Dead Ones Who Live? Now, yes, I do think we'll probably see both of them, to be honest. I know that sounds kind of forward, but the reason why I say that is because Silas, I actually do believe, has already been shown in one of the promos already. I think this character right here standing behind Rick, with the longer hair, he's got like the baggier clothes on and stuff like that. I do think that Rick actually interacted with Silas before Silas became a soldier. That's right. I think that he interacted with Rick before some of the events of season 2 took place. Call me nuts. And I think that'll be like kind of a big plot twist, which I think would be pretty cool, to be honest. But here's the thing. Silas is a pretty cool character. Some of the other World Beyond characters I'm not so big on. I'm not so big on at all. I'm not a fan of Iris. I'm not a fan of, Hope. So if they could maybe just keep it to the characters that are actually good, the characters that are actually interesting, maybe it won't be as bad. Because Silas in World Beyond was pretty good. And in Ones Who Live, I think he could definitely have, a good storyline going on. But yes, I think Elizabeth Kublik and, Silas in particular and a few others will definitely be in the Ones Who Live. They're definitely going to connect it somehow, They're trying to connect everything to do a crossover series at one point, so makes sense that they would do that. Next one comes from Lore, who says that, Dan, what do you think about Dwight and Sherry going back to the sanctuary? Also, do you think that Carol mentioning to Daryl that someone came back in 105 of the Daryl spinoff, maybe she's talking about Dwight and Sherry, and maybe she's not talking about Rick like everybody's predicting? Now, that is definitely possible because obviously Dwight and Sherry are going back to rebuild the sanctuary, and the sanctuary is nearby where the other communities are at, Alexandria, Hilltop, Commonwealth, etc. So it would definitely make sense that, we would have some kind of reunion between Dwight and, Carol maybe, or like some of the others. But here's the thing about it, right? And this is the one thing that I never understood, is that why Dwight and Sherry decided to go there rather than go back to one of the communities, Look, I know Daryl said that if he ever showed his face around there again, he'd kill him. But, like, after all those years, like, honestly, it's definitely like, it's like, okay, well, why would you even go back to the sanctuary? Daryl and the others are probably nearby there anyway, like from his point of view, right? He doesn't know that Dwight's in France, but, he doesn't know that Daryl is in France, right? So that in Dwight's point of view, he might be like, oh, well, Daryl's probably nearby, so whatever. But that doesn't make any sense why he would go back and rebuild the sanctuary if he knows that Daryl is nearby, right? So that's the part that kind of doesn't make any sense. But, again, not much about fear makes any sense, so you have to kind of roll with it. And God knows if we'll ever see Dwight and Sherry again. I really hope we do. I hope we see them in Dead City. That admittedly would be the best thing, is if Dwight and Sherry popped up in Dead City at some point. And maybe like Croat and some of the Barazi, maybe like they go back to the sanctuary and like they try to, rebuild it or like turn it into something else. And you actually find that Dwight and Sherry rebuilt the place. It looks really good, and there's like a full running community there. I think that'd be really interesting. I don't know if they'll go that route, but that would be really cool if they did. So we'll have to see. But that would definitely be cool for sure. And I do think it's possible that Carol is talking about Dwight being the one that made it back instead of Rick, but it just sounds like Rick over the radio. But again, there's so much static, it's so hard to tell. It's so hard to tell what she said, but hopefully we'll get an answer on that in Daryl season 2 when Carol actually meets up with him. Maybe she'll actually get a chance to tell him if it is Rick or if it's Dwight or whoever the hell it is. We'll have to see. Next one comes from John, who says that Dan, I have a sneaky suspicion that the crossover series could be used as a soft reboot for the Walking Dead franchise, and that it's not going to be the major conclusion that everybody thinks. Well, you could be onto something there, honestly, because I mean they promised Tales of the Walking Dead to give us backstories on Walking Dead characters. And for 5 episodes, we're dilly-dallying around dealing with random bullshit. So, honestly, it's not that far-fetched. I do honestly really see what you're saying. I hope crossover series, this is what I hope for it at least, is that Rick is leading it, Dead City, Daryl Dixon, maybe even some Fear characters come together. And all the spin-offs that we've watched over the years finally come to a major conclusion. And I know some people may say like, oh, well, Dan, don't you want to see the franchise go on for 10 more years? No, I don't. I really don't. Look, I agree. There's some really, really good spin-offs going on right now. Dead City, Daryl Dixon, but we can't do this shit forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't do Walking Dead for another 10 more years. Some people may argue we can. Well, if we're going to do it, it's going to be with an older Judith. It can't be with these actors. Andrew Lincoln, Norman Reedus, I love them, but they're getting way too old to keep doing this for 10 more years, you know? You gotta find a meeting spot. You gotta find a concluding, spot to end it where people are going to be satisfied and it's not going to be too dragged out because, if you do this for 10 more years, it's definitely going to be it's definitely going to suffer. So I agree with what John's saying is that maybe this crossover series could be something like that, but I would rather is that it's an actual conclusion to some of these characters that we like. And maybe at one point, far down the line after this crossover series happens and The Walking Dead kind of rests for a few years, maybe then you can do something. Maybe then you can be like, okay, here is a Judith spinoff on how things are going for her. And it's led by Judith and you have like an old man Rick or something. I don't know. Something major like that. But at least for now, I say a few more years, a few more seasons of these spinoffs and wrap it up. You know what I mean? Like by 2027, I would say at the latest, you should honestly find a way to conclude this. I really believe that. I don't think this franchise needs to continue for that many more years. I think we're already at a point now where things could end in a really satisfying way if they just write it correctly. And it would be one of the best endings to anything if they do it right. Rick versus Major General Beal, the CRM, everything coming together, you know what I mean? Like, you can really do something creative and really end The Walking Dead in a phenomenal note, you know what I mean? And I'm not sure why they're not taking that chance. Maybe Gimple is. Maybe he's finally getting his head out of his ass, but we'll have to see. Only time will tell, Next one comes from Victor, who says that, Dan, do you think Troy will ever come back and return again in the franchise? No, I don't mean alive, obviously, but I mean some flashbacks of the dam or anything like that. No, I don't. I think we're honestly done with Troy. I don't think Troy will ever be a thing again. Troy will probably be dead. Troy backstory, I don't think will ever happen. The only way that you could ever do something like that is if you did like a Tales of the Walking Dead episode. Then I would actually really like it, but we're never going to get that, And they butchered him anyway. I found they turned Troy into a dumbass in this final episode, so honestly, I'm kind of good. You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of good with Troy just being done. At least that's just me. I feel like Troy kind of outlived his usefulness now. They resurrected him. They killed him again. I think we're good. I think we're good with Troy Otto the way it is for now. Next one comes from Japin and Water, who both have 2 different questions for the universe. First of all, Dan, what is your favorite Walking Dead universe episode of all time? Also, Dan, who is your favorite evolution for a Walking Dead universe character of all time as well? So, my favorite Walking Dead universe episode... Oh, man, I mean, there's a few. There are definitely a few. You got No Sanctuary, you got No Way Out, you got, some of these other really phenomenal episodes. But I'd have to say my favorite episode, the episode that means the most to me as a Walking Dead fan, the episode that got me emotional, the episode that, ripped my heart out and then got me confident again, and just was absolutely mind-blowing with all the returns and all the things that they did, was definitely 905. What Comes After, Rick's final episode. That is definitely my favorite episode of The Walking Dead. And the reason why I say that is because most TV shows do not know how to off a character that the actor wants to leave the show. They always do it in such a crummy way. For an example, the way they killed Nick in Fear the Walking Dead. You know, when actors want to leave a role, most of the time the writers cannot come up with something creative. They cannot come up with something good. They usually butcher the character or they do something ridiculous. And the way they did it here was masterful. It was absolutely phenomenal. And to be honest, it'll always be my favorite episode. You know, the Shane return, the Herschel return months before Scott Wilson passed in real life. Like, it doesn't hit harder than that. It really doesn't. That episode is like, it's like a Days Gone By part 2. It really is. And it's so amazing the way they did it. Not to mention Days Gone By. There you go. There's another one. But probably my favorite is 905, I would say. At least for right now. Maybe in the future they'll actually outdo it. That'd be cool. But at least for right now, that one means the most to me, for sure. And then my favorite Walking Dead evolution for a character, you guys are going to call me crazy for this. I'm sure people are probably saying, like, oh, you're probably going to pick, like, Carol or Morgan or, you know, Rick or something. No, my favorite evolution of a Walking Dead character is actually going to go to Father Gabriel, which I know might surprise some people. Obviously, I prefer Rick, I prefer Morgan, I prefer some other characters, but in terms of just the evolution of a character, I think Gabriel has had the best. From the little scared guy on the top of that, you know, rock, and being a coward and being kind of a pain in the ass, to being like a real homie, a real cool guy, a really crazy like priest that just kills people whenever he wants, you know? Like it's pretty amazing, I must say. And I love that in the past, he doesn't help the innocent people get to a safe place. He doesn't let them into his church. And then in the series finale, he helps the innocent people and opens up the gate and puts his life at risk to save them. You know, I think that is such a phenomenal evolution. It's bar none the most underrated evolution from this show. It's so damn good, man. I absolutely love it. And the final one comes from Isaac, who says that, Dan, I know this is kind of unrelated to Fear or anything else, but do you think that Mason Beal, General Beal's son from The Walking Dead World Beyond, will make a return in The Ones Who Live? Yes, I do. He's another one that I think will make a major return in The Ones Who Live. I think Ones Who Live is going to have a lot of World Beyond characters, which, like I said, write them well, I won't be too pissed off. But do not put Iris in this show. That's the one thing I'm asking you not to do. Do not put Rick Grimes with Iris in the same fucking show. Unless it's crossover series down the line, but even then, fuck her. Like, seriously, why is she in this shit? Like, seriously. Like, it's just talking about it gets me aggravated, so I'm gonna cut it off. But don't put Iris in The Ones Who Live. Please, God, that's Rick's show. We've waited 5 years. Don't put this stupid idiot that's trying to be fucking Daryl Dixon with her goddamn crossbow in this show. Okay, rant over. I don't like Iris. Okay, so, but anyway, yes, Mason Beal for sure. He's a necessary part of the story. He's, of course, Major General Beal's son, so they will definitely put him in there. But anyway, let me know in the comment section below, what do you guys think about the Walking Dead universe stuff? Who do you think will be in The Ones Who Live? Also, do you think that Daryl Dixon, Season 2, will have any kind of connections with Dwight? Any information on that? Or is it Rick that they're talking about? And make sure to let me know your thoughts on all this stuff. Do you think we'll ever see Troy Otto again in the franchise in some way, shape, or form? Will they resurrect him a third time? You know what I mean? He's a zombie, I know, but, you know, and hey, he comes out of the ground. I mean, honestly, if you're the Walking Dead logic, he would. So, anyway, if you're new to the channel, guys, and you enjoy videos like this, make sure to click that subscribe button so you don't miss any other videos for the Walking Dead universe. Be sure to follow me on Dan's The Walking Dead Reviews on Instagram, guys. And, of course, I'll see you guys very soon for more videos for the Walking Dead universe. Enjoy the rest of the day, guys, and peace out.